The Roy Orbison mystery finally solved and isn't good. Roy Orbison was born Roykelton Orbison on April 23, 1936 in Vernon, Texas. Orbison's early life was marked by hardship and determination, raised in a working-class family during the tail end of the Great Depression. Roy was drawn to music at an early age, receiving his first guitar at age 6 and performing on local radio by age 8. Encouraged by his parents to pursue his passion, Roy found solace and strength in music, a medium through which he could express emotions that were often left unspoken in everyday life. His early musical influences include decantry legends like Hank Williams, pop vocalists such as Bing Crosby, and Theblisy strains of Southern gospel. After moving with his family to Wink, Texas, Orbison continued to develop his musical identity, eventually forming his first band, the Wink Westerners, while still in high school. These formative years shined his songwriting skills and stage presence, laying the groundwork for a groundbreaking career. Orbison's big break came in the late 1950s when he signed with Sun Records in Memphis, the same label that launched Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee Lewis. Though his early rockabilly singles met with limited success, it wasn't until he transitioned to Monument Records in the early 1960 seconds that he truly found his voice, both literally and artistically. Under the guidance of producer Fred Foster, Orbison crafted a sound that blended elements of rock, pop, classical, and country, all wrapped around his soaring 3-octave vocal range. His breakthrough hit, Only the Lonely, 1960, set the stage for a series of emotionally charged ballads that became his hallmark. Songs like Crying, Running Scared, In Dreams, and It's Over conveyed a sense of romantic despair and raw vulnerability that was virtually unmatched in contemporary music. His most iconic hit, Oh Pretty Woman, 1964, showcased his ability to blend heartbreak with swagger, securing his status as a musical pioneer and international star. What set Roy Orbison apart was not only the power of his voice, but the sincerity and depth of his lyrics. At a time when rock and roll often celebrated carefree youth and rebellion, Orbison sang about lost love, aching solitude, and shattered dreams. His songs resonated with audiences around the world who saw in his music a reflection of their own sorrows and hopes. His appearance, dressed in black, expressionless behind his trademark dark glasses, added to his mystique, leading many to describe him as the Caruso Afric or the Big O. Though his popularity waned during the 1970s, Orbison never stopped recording and performing. A remarkable career resurgence came in the 1980s, beginning with a new generation of artists citing him as a major influence. In 1987, he was inducted into both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Songwriters Hall of Fame, with Bruce Springsteen and Bob Dylan praising him as one of the greatest voices ever to grace the airwaves. In the same decade, Orbison also returned to the recording studio and made waves with a poignant and beautifully arranged duet titled That Loving You Feeling Again, recorded with acclaimed country rock artist Emil Harris. The song, which featured lush harmonies and emotionally rich delivery, was praised by critics and audiences alike. It went on to win a Grammy Award for Best Country Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal in 1981, marking one of the high points of Orbison's latter career and reaffirming his position as a major force in American music. The award was particularly meaningful as it symbolized his successful crossover into contemporary genres while staying true to the heart-wrenching romanticism that defined his earlier work. Orbison's resurgence reached even greater heights in the late 1980s when he became a founding member of one of rock music's most celebrated supergroups, the Traveling Wilburys. This spontaneous and star-studded collaboration brought together some of the biggest names in rock history: Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, George Harrison, and Jeff Lynne alongside Orbison himself. The group formed almost by accident when the musicians got together to record a B-side for Harrison and realized the magical synergy between them. Orbison adopted the pseudonym Lefty Wilbur in the group, a playful nod to his musical roots and idol Lefty Frizzell. Their debut album, Traveling Wilburys Volume 1, released in 1988, was both a critical and commercial success, earning glowing reviews and revitalizing Orbison's profile on a global scale. His contributions to the band's harmonies and songwriting brought depth and warmth to the group's sound, and his performance on tracks like Handle with Care reminded the world of his exceptional vocal prowess. That Samir Orbison's immense contributions to the music world were formally recognized with one of the industry's highest honors, his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In his induction speech, Bruce Springsteen, who had often cited Orbison as one of his greatest influence, paid tribute to the singer's sonic voice, describing it as the voice of heartbreak. The honor not only acknowledged Orbison's profound influence on the evolution of rock and pop music, but also cemented his legacy as one of the genre's most emotional, resonant, and innovative performers. Despite the many personal and professional hardships he had endured throughout his life, Orbison stood at the pinnacle of recognition during his final years. Long after his passing in December 1988, Orbison's influence continued to be felt and celebrated. In 2014, to commemorate the 25th anniversary of his final studio album, Mystery Girl, a deluxe edition off-record was released. One of the most moving and significant inclusions was a never-before-heard demo titled The Way Is Love. This track was made especially poignant by the fact that Orbison's serving sons Wesley Roy Jr.B. and Alex helped to complete it using their father's original vocal recording. With assistance from producer John Carter Cash and Jeff Lynne, the song was transformed into a polished and hauntingly beautiful tribute that bridged the past and present, father and son's legacy and future. The inclusion of The Way Is Love gave fans a new glimpse into Orbison's artistry and offered a touching reminder of the timelessness of his music. In 1957, at the age of 21, Roy Orbison married his teenage sweetheart Claudette Freddie, a strikingly beautiful young woman who was just 16 years old at the time. Their whirlwind romance had blossomed quickly, and despite the difference in age and the challenges of a career just beginning to soar, Orbison was deeply in love. Claudette became a muse for Roy, inspiring several of his future compositions. Their relationship, like many young love stories, was marked by both passion and turbulence. Nonetheless, they began building a life together, and the union brought forth 3 sons. Roy Dwayne Orbison, born in 1958, Anthony King Orbison, born in 1962, and their youngest, Wesley Orbison, who was born in 1965. Roy cherished his family and took pride in fatherhood, even as his career demands often pulled him away on tour and recording sessions. Tragedy struck the Orbison household with devastating force in June 1966 when Claudette was killed in a motorcycle accident while riding in Gallatin, Tennessee. She and Roy had recently reconciled after a period of separation, and her sudden death left him emotionally shattered. Claudette's passing created a deep void in Orbison's life, both personally and creatively. The loss of his wife not only devastated him emotionally, but also disrupted the stability he had managed to build at home amid his skyrocketing fame. Her death would later be immortalized in his haunting song Claudette, which, while originally penned as a tribute to her vivacity and beauty, took on a deeply somber resonance in the years that followed. As if one heart-wrenching tragedy weren't enough, fate dealt another cruel blow just 2 years later. In September 1968, while Roy was away in England performing, his 2 eldest sons, Roy Dwayne and Anthony King, perished in a house fire at their Hendersonville, Tennessee home. The blaze completely angled the property, and although Roy's youngest son, Wesley, survived because he had been staying with his grandparents at the time, the loss of his other 2 children was nearly unbearable. The heartbreak was unimaginable. Roy Orbison, a man known for his emotive, melancholic ballads, now found himself living the very sorrow he suffered and sang about. His grief was profound, and for a time he withdrew from the public eye, struggling to come to terms with the back-to-back catastrophes that had shattered his family. Amidst this sea of loss, a new chapter began when Roy Orbison met Barbara Jacobs, a German-born music executive, during a trip to the United Kingdom. Their connection was immediate and deeply healing for Roy. The 2 married on March 25, 1969, marking a turning point in his personal life. Barbara became a stabilizing and nurturing presence for him. She not only provided emotional support, but also took an active role in helping to manage his career, particularly in the later years. Their partnership was one of devotion and mutual respect, enduring through the highs and lows of his career revival in 1980 seconds. Together, Roy and Barbara had 2 sons. Roy Kelton Orbison Jr.B., born in 1970, who would later follow in his father's footsteps by becoming involved in the music industry, and Alexander Alex Orbison, born in 1975, who also grew up to play a key role in preserving and promoting his father's Legacy. After his death, Barbara remained by Roy's side until his untimely passing in 1988. She later devoted her life to keeping his memory and music alive, overseeing posthumous releases, managing his estate, and ensuring that the world would never forget the man behind the dark sunglasses and the soaring opera dickvis. Through all the trials, Roy Orbison's personal life was marked by a profound blend of love, loss, resilience, and legacy. A story as emotional and unforgettable as the music left behind. For decades, fans of Roy Orbison, one of the most enigmatic and hauntingly gifted voices in the history of rock and roll, have puzzled over the strange contradictions in his life, the tragedies that seemed to follow him, and the almost ghost-like presence he projected despite his fame. With his jet-black hair, dark sunglasses worn even on stage, and a voice that soared across octaves with raw emotional vulnerability, Orbison seemed like an pen wound hiding in plain sight. Yet there was always an air of mystery surrounding his persona, his personal struggles, and especially the profound sadness that seemed to emanate from his music. For years, people speculated about what really lay behind the icon's image. Was it just personal loss, artistic sensitivity, or something darker? Now, after years of speculation, investigative biographies, uncovered personal letters, and interviews with those closest to him, the veil has finally been lifted. But rather than bringing closure, the truth that has emerged has proven to be deeply unsettling and not the kind of narrative that fits comfortably with their romanticized memory many had of the ballad. At the heart of the mystery lies the question of why Orbison's life was shadowed by such persistent heartbreak, and why his music so often seemed to predict or reflect that grief before it even occurred. Many chalk this up to coincidence or the classic trope of the tortured artist. But sources close to Orbison, including members of his early management team and some estranged family members, have revealed that Orbison suffered from intense untreated psychological trauma dating back to his child. Trauma that he not only masked, but also transformed into art even as it silently consumed him from within. Perhaps most disturbingly, recent research and interviews suggest that his iconic otherworldly voice may have come at a terrible cost. According to documents uncovered from Orbison's early medical records, he underwent a series of experimental sinus surgeries as a teenager to correct a chronic breathing issue. Some now believe these procedures conducted at a time when medical ethics were murky at best may have inadvertently altered his vocal structure, resulting in the unique almost operatic range that made him famous. While this gave the world some of the most emotionally resonant songs of all time, like Crying and Only the Lonely, it also left him with chronic pain, migraines, and lasting damage that may have contributed to his reclusive nature. Adding to the weight of the mystery is the fact that Roy's personality was marked by an almost Shakespearean level of tragedy. His first wife, Claudette, died in a horrific motorcycle accident in 1966. Just 2 years later, a fire at his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, claimed the lives of 2 of his young sons while he was away on tour. Fans always admired Orbison's ability to continue working in face of such unfathomable loss, interpreting his stoic exterior as a symbol of strength. But new revelations from his private journals, which have now been partially published, paint a much darker picture. He was emotionally heavily dependent on prescription medications to cope, and at times even contemplated leaving the music industry altogether or worse, ending his life. Perhaps what is most sobering is the realization that Orbison's comeback in the late 1980s, just before his sudden death in 1988, was not the triumphant return to happiness that it appeared to be on the surface, though his involvement with the revealing Wilburys and the album Mystery Girl brought him back into the spotlight. Those close to him now say that he was suffering from extremexation, untreated heart issues, and the long-term effects of stress and grief. Despite his smiling public appearances and renewed critical acclaim, Orbison was living on borrowed time, and he knew it. His death from a heart attack at just 52 shocked the world. But for those who truly knew him, it was the tragic conclusion to a life that had been unraveling in slow motion. In the end, the Roy Orbison mystery has finally been solved. But the reality isn't the stuff of comforting legends. It's the story of a man who gave the world his soul in the form of song, even as his own soul was slowly breaking. The soaring voice, the shadowed eyes behind the sunglasses, the lyrics dripping with longing and loss. These weren't just artistic choices. They were cries for help, reverberating across decades, only fully understood.